AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there. Make it a good one. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. Head to Mobile. Talk to Sean Fazende here in about 15 minutes from right now. Hey, my apologies. We were supposed to talk to LSU transfer tight end Zach Grace right now. He just messaged me. Something came up. He's got a bump. So we are going to – I don't think it's going to work today. We're going to shoot maybe for tomorrow, and hopefully we get to catch up with Zach Grace either tomorrow or on or another day later this week. So again, apologies. That was a little curveball there at the last minute. So I apologize for that. I am looking forward to that conversation though, because I think Zach Grace is one of the more interesting prospects in this portal class. Like he signed 42, so storylines abound. But if you look at Zach Grace during his time at Oregon, he has not recorded a statistic offensively. He was a freshman there in 2023, didn't play in a game, so he redshirted. 2024, he played in 10 games, 41 offensive snaps, 20 as a fullback. And then this year, played in every game as a fullback, H-back, tight end. He's listed as a tight end, 6'3", 240. But a guy that in 3 years hasn't recorded an offensive statistic at Oregon. And I guess I look at that as really interesting because why would you come into Lane Kiffin's offense? Lane Kiffin hasn't really utilized a fullback. We have seen some sort of interesting formations where, I think about a year ago where J.J. Pegues, the big defensive lineman, was sort of a short yardage. They would use him as a short yardage back. But here you're talking about a guy that in 3 years in college football at Oregon never recorded a statistic and coming to an offense that hasn't really utilized a tight end or an H-back. And when you think about that tight end position where you've got Trey'Dez Green coming back where you made a large financial investment. You brought in Malachi Thomas from Pitt, who's also more of the pass-catching tight end, but Malachi Thomas came on the show and told us he's working on his physicality, likes blocking, likes the physical nature of the game as well. You signed J.D. LaFleur a year ago. You added a tight end in the 2026 class. So it's interesting because Zach Grace brings a dynamic to this offense that didn't currently exist before he showed up. And quite honestly, I don't know that Lane Kiffin had at Ole Miss. So I'm interested in this conversation. Hopefully we get to have this convo tomorrow. My apologies. That was just a last-minute change there as he just messaged me. He's like, something came up. I can't do 5. So we'll see if we can do it tomorrow. But, picking LSU, coming from Oregon, leaving a place where they made the playoffs the last 2 years to come to Baton Rouge, how he fits in this offense. And remember, the other interesting thing about Zach Grace is it's not just Zach. His brother Theo Grace just finished his freshman season as a linebacker at the University of North Dakota, and he transferred as a part of this LSU class as well. He's one of the guys. Remember, there's 7 freshmen that redshirted that have 4 years of eligibility remaining that came in as a part of this transfer class. and Theo Grace is one of them. So you're getting Zach Grace with 2 years of eligibility remaining and Theo Grace with 4 years of eligibility remaining, both coming in. So anyway, hopefully we'll get a chance to catch up with Zach Grace tomorrow on the show. My apologies for that. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com. For Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, gents, Valentine's Day, 2 weeks from Saturday. Don't screw it up. Go to Lee Michaels, thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com. 9 locations in all, 2 in Baton Rouge, Corporate Boulevard, Bocage, Mall of Louisiana, Lafayette, New Orleans, Shreveport, and online at lmfj.com. Listen, maybe you're going to pop the question. Nobody has a better selection of beautiful diamond engagement rings than Lee Michaels. Maybe you want a beautiful pair of earrings. Maybe it's a bracelet, a necklace, a watch. Whatever it is you're looking for, you want a beautiful piece of jewelry that will thrill her and make you the hero? Lee Michaels has it. lmfj.com, Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. The other sort of big story today, and we are going to head to Mobile in just a few minutes here, talk to Sean Fazende from Fox 8, who's there. Certainly cover the New Orleans Saints, but also the LSU guys. Garrett Nussmeier is going to be one of the big storylines this week in Mobile. It was interesting hearing Drew Fabianich, who we had a chance to meet at SEC Football Media Days this summer, who's now the executive director of the Senior Bowl. That was, remember, Jim Nagy for years. Jim left his role at the Senior Bowl to become the general manager with Oklahoma football, and so Drew Fabianich replaced him. And Drew, I was listening to Drew Fabianich with the fellas this morning on OTB, and he said point blank that he invited Garrett Nussmeier to participate in the Senior Bowl before the season even started. And as the season was going and Garrett wasn't playing well, he was relaying how people were asking him, you still invited Nussmeier? He's like, absolutely. And the point he's made over and over again, I've heard him in many different on many different interviews talking about Garrett, is he can't unsee the 2024 film. Like you saw, like that's a thing that happened. That's part of the resume. This guy threw for 4,000 yards and was awesome in big moments. You can't unsee 2024 because 2025 happened. So you need to have an opportunity to go fully evaluate Garrett. I remember, man, like we talked to Drew, we talked to Jim Nagy. I mean, Jim told us at SEC Media Days this summer that if Garrett Nussmeier had come out in last year's draft, he would have graded Garrett as the best quarterback in last year's draft, ahead of Cam Ward, who went first overall. So, it's in there, and there are believers in Garrett. I think he's just got to reignite that flame for those that went into the season believing in him and see if they can after what transpired this season. So Garrett sat down with the guys who went off the bench earlier today. You want to catch that full interview, you can catch it on demand. Just go to Off the Bench, OTB on demand. And Garrett did tell Flynn and Hester kind of what he's hoping to show this week there in Mobile.
For one, just trying not to come here and prove anything. You know what I mean? Just being myself. Yeah. Letting teams get to know who I am and what I'm about. Being able to wear 18 at LSU. I think for one, that was a huge honor for me to be like, hey, that kind of sets the tone. Yeah. That's what I am. I'm a team guy. That's my MO. And so I don't want to go out there and be like, all right, I got to prove to them I can make every throw. I think that one, they're going to watch the tape, and two, I'm just out here to one, enjoy this experience. Two, but to also prove to teams that I am who I say I am.
The other thing that's obviously, by the way, a couple of LSU guys ended up being injured, not making the trip to the Senior Bowl that were initially committed. Jack Pyburn among them that had been committed to the Senior Bowl, now not able to make the trip because of injury. But Garrett does have a few wide receivers there as well. Barrion Brown's there. Aaron Anderson is there at the Senior Bowl. And for a receiver for a quarterback who working with receivers where timing matters so much, having his guys certainly is a big deal.
Both those guys are unbelievable players, and Aaron obviously dealt with some injuries and stuff this year too. And so, as you said, his feel for space, and he's got a natural instinct, playing football. And so, obviously we've seen a lot of pretty special plays out of him over the past couple of years at LSU, and also excited for Barrion too to kind of get a chance to show what he's really about as well. And he's a dang good player too, and so excited for him as well.
A.J. Halsey, by the way, Pyburn and Halsey are the two LSU players that had been committed to the Senior Bowl that had to back out because of injury. Another storyline there, because of the weather, a lot of people, both media and potential participants, had to pull out because the weather couldn't physically travel this weekend to get to the Senior Bowl. So be curious to ask Sean Fazende about that as well. So Sean Fazende, Fox 8, is there in Mobile. He's going to join us when we come back. Remember, you can always email us, tweet us, or text 225-396-4400, 396-4400. Tuesdays AFR, we are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Don't you move.
After further review.
We're brought to you by the Watermark and the Renaissance. The Watermark downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Watermark, as we always say, is Baton Rouge's premier hotel property in downtown Baton Rouge. Gorgeous property in downtown Baton Rouge. It was the original high-rise building. I know I say that all the time, but with it being carnival season here and a lot of events like KKDL is coming up this Friday night in downtown Baton Rouge. You're going to have other Mardi Gras balls. There was one this past weekend. If you're going to be at an event in downtown Baton Rouge, why not make it sort of a staycation? Why not, book a room at Watermark Baton Rouge and sort of make a long weekend out of it? The lobby bar is gorgeous. We always tell you about that hotel lobby that's maintained so much of the historical integrity of that building. The guest rooms are luxurious, palatial. No better place to be than at the Watermark Hotel in downtown Baton Rouge.
At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350 plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Well, she ain't into cars or pickup trucks, but if it runs like a deer, man, her eyes light up. She thinks my track.
Some breaking news in the NFL. Adam Schefter is reporting that Bill Belichick will not be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. Forgive me, that's actually, Schefter tweeted it, but it's per Seth Wickersham, and I don't know who this other person is that he has added in the tweet. Belichick fell short of the 40 out of 50 votes needed for induction to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. I mean, that feels as fundamentally stupid as the baseball writers keeping players from being a unanimous Hall of Famer because Babe Ruth wasn't a unanimous Hall of Famer. Bill Belichick's won 8 Super Bowl titles. He won 6 as a head coach of the Patriots. Apparently, Bill Polian, this is from Ari Myrov, tweeted that apparently Bill Polian, I'm reading this tweet, was a vocal figure in the Hall of Fame deliberations involving Bill Belichick, with Spygate and Deflategate coming up among voters during discussions. Per a voter who spoke anonymously, Polian, former Bills and Colts GM and longtime Patriots rival, told some voters he believed Belichick should wait a year as penance for Spygate. What an idiot. I don't care if you like Bill Belichick or not. Man won 8 Super Bowls, including 6 as a head coach. To not have him in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot is stupid. Whatever. Dude, self-important jackasses exist all over the world in every single phase of life. Way to go, Bill Polian. Self-important jackass. Shut up, idiot. Oh, my God. All right, let's go to Mobile. Sean Fazende, Fox 8 in New Orleans. Good to join us here for a couple of minutes. Yo, man, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I mean, good, but dude, come on. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, I saw that, and I just kind of I did a double check when I saw the tweet. I was like, really? We're really doing this?
Bro.
But I guess it is what it is.
That's the best way to say it. It's just self-important idiots thinking.
That's it.
Anyway, whatever. Okay. All right. So the Saints, the whole staff is down there in Mobile. Is that right?
Yeah, whole staff is down here. Joel Thomas, assistant head coach, running backs coach, is head coach of the American team. They're practicing as we speak, as a matter of fact. Scott Tolzien, quarterbacks coach, is the offensive coordinator of the American team. And then Peter Thurman is the defense coordinator, Saints linebackers coach. They're coaching the American team, which obviously features 3 LSU Tigers on it as well. So, yeah, a lot of local connections here at Mobile this year.
Are you freezing?
It's so cold right now, and it dropped like 20 degrees within the last 30 minutes because the sun went down. So, yeah, it's pretty cold out here.
Sean, I can hear like your I can hear it almost sounds like your mouth is numb.
It gets like that. Yeah, it's just one of those where it's just like when it gets cold like that, you kind of it is what it is, I guess. You got to battle through it.
I heard like the attendance was sort of limited or affected by the weather and the travel and all. Like, can you maybe give us some details there?
Yeah, well, I don't know why, but I can tell you I come to this every year. Significantly less in terms of the people covering this. Feels like, from a player standpoint, I think most of the guys were able to get here. But I could just tell you, there wasn't nearly the buzz that there normally is for this event. For the first practice earlier today, and obviously the second. It feels like there's a few more people here for the second practice here with the American team. But we were talking about that when we got here. How it just felt it felt quieter this year, which is rare because this event has grown so much over the years. Any
idea who or what positions the Saints might be interested in looking at, targeting, or talking to?
Yeah, they're going to look for a playmaker on the outside. There's going to be look, as they always do when it comes to the draft, at the offensive and defensive line, particularly the interior of the offensive line. Wouldn't be shocked if they go to linebacker route as well. But, they're BPA, their best player available when it comes to the draft. But this is one of those years where you could talk yourself into a lot of positions of need for the Saints. So they'll be paying close attention. And with the Saints coaching staff, it's not just that they're getting an up-close look. I mean, they're running Kellen Moore's offense. They're running Brandon Staley's defense for the most part. So you're also getting to see these guys doing, a vanilla version of the Saints schemes.
Sean Fazende, Fox 8's in Mobile, freezing, but taking some time to chat with us. Who are the buzz players there? Like, who's getting the conversation there?
Well, it seems like there's a lot of people looking here for the Notre Dame wide receiver. Is it Malachi Field, 0? Looks the part, really. Has had a pretty good practice here over the last hour or so as I watched this American team play. And then, obviously, Nuss is one of the biggest names, and he's here, and he's had a decent practice thus far. You can tell he's kind of working through some things. This is their first practice, so the chemistry isn't quite there with all the receivers, but decent enough. A lot of work under center with a lot of these guys. And then, look, first practice is Diego Pavia. He's the biggest name. But I'm here to tell you, Matt, he is every bit of 5'9". It was the first thing that jumped out when I walked out here. I didn't realize how short he was. I just wouldn't compare it to some of the other players out here. But he had a decent practice as well. So, yeah, there's buzz for those guys. All in all, and you'll hear more names as the week goes on with more practice can pile up.
You mentioned Nuss. You got a video posted there of him, kind of a little play action rollout. How's Nuss? It's early, but how's he looking so far today? First time we've seen him do football things in 2 months.
Yeah, well, it was interesting when he got out here. He was the first one out here for practice, doing some sort of work, dealing with that oblique injury. Looks like he's getting himself back into shape. I thought the one-on-ones, he had a couple of really nice throws, but one-on-ones are really, they're designed for, offensive advantage there. He's operating under center pretty effectively, considering they didn't really do a whole lot of that at LSU. It's a pretty basic play calling right now. It's a lot, that throw I posted is a pretty standard play in the NFL playbook. You fake the handoff, do a little bootleg to the right, and throw to that tight end, run that little flat route right there. So looks like he's working his way back. So far, so good. He really works the second level, that intermediate level, well, just as a prospect. So if he can get better at some of the deep ball consistency and always stay consistent with his layups and from 0 to 10 yards, I think he'll have a nice chance to hopefully move up draft boards here in Mobile.
What about the other LSU guys that are there?
Yeah, Aaron Anderson had a filthy route on his one-on-one, but it's hard to really judge one-on-one since it's so skewed towards the offense. He's had a couple of misalignments. Barry and Brown, a couple of nice catches as well. So, yeah, I mean, they're here. They'll meet with the Saints meet with other teams that are here as well. So far, so good. Again, it's only been 1 hour, one practice thus far, but, all things considered, it's a pretty good day.
What's the rest of the week look like?
Tuesday practice, Wednesday practice, Thursday practice. I think it's Friday. There's some sort of event that they have to go to, and then Saturday is the game. And they push practices back because normally we're done by this point, but they push practices back from 1:30 to 3:30 for the national team and 4 to 6 for the American team. And they're doing player interviews, I guess, with scouts and teams before practice now. So that'll generally be the schedule for the rest of the week. I think there's a media session tomorrow before practice as well for a few select players and coaches. So pretty standard week out here in Mobile.
Last thing, you mentioned the Notre Dame receiver. Any other standouts so far through 2 practices?
The guy I like, and look, it's hard to really get a full look at him because it's one practice, but just given that the Saints are big on interior offensive linemen, one guy that really stood out to me early, and this is not, I don't know if he's someone you would see in terms of like McShay or anybody like highlighting him, but it really felt like Keelan Rutledge, Georgia Tech interior offensive lineman. He played left guard, he played right guard, and he played center, all within that first practice today. Really pretty smooth off the ball, showed some versatility, got to the second level in the combo blocks, was able to do the zone blocking well with the back, was able to cut behind him. So that was just one name that I noticed. Keelan Rutledge from Georgia Tech, interior offensive line.
All right. Senior Bowl practices getting underway there in Mobile. Make sure you follow Sean. He's on Twitter at Sean Fazende, Fox 8, at Sean Fazende, Fox 8. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for the time.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Be well. This is After Further Review, brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, together we roar. Always encourage you, if you want to get by the website, it's olrmc.com/LSU. That's where you can find out more about the Championship Health Partnership with LSU and Our Lady of the Lake, which is transforming health and sports and education and research for Louisiana and beyond. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Again, olrmc.com/LSU. That's the website if you want to learn more how they're sort of enhancing graduate medical education. Integrating the student learning across multiple disciplines, how they care for the community, the campus, and, of course, so many NIL deals. You see it all the time. Football season's beyond us now. We're talking about basketball, Flaugier, Michaela Williams, DJ Thomas. So many of the basketball athletes at LSU are NIL athletes and championship health partners there of LSU Athletics and Our Lady of the Lake. So when you think LSU, think Our Lady of the Lake. When you think the Lake, think LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU together, we roar. All right, it is After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Jimmy will be along in about 20 minutes from right now for Otter Locks. Remember, you can always email us, tweet us, or text in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Lots of ways you get involved in the show. If you want to do that, you can do it. I do want to react and get some more reaction to this Bill Belichick story. If you're just joining us and missed it, Bill Belichick will not be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. So next week at the NFL Honors on Thursday is when they'll announce the Pro Football Hall of Fame class. And by the way, Drew Brees, of course, is a finalist. He's a first-year eligible player, and he is a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And we are all expecting that Drew Brees, of course, will be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. And so he should be elected this week, and we'll find out on Thursday at the NFL Honors when they announce the class, the new class for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And then, of course, the new Hall of Famers will be introduced at the Super Bowl as well, with the induction coming July in Canton around the Hall of Fame game, that Hall of Fame weekend. So we are. It should be a great celebration of the greatest player in the history of the New Orleans Saints next week with the Hall of Fame announcements being made public, but Bill Belichick will not be part of it. As a first-year eligible coach, he will not be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. A man who's won 8 Super Bowl titles, 6 as a head coach, more than anyone else, will not be a first-ballot Hall of Famer because people are dumb. It's After Further Review. We'll knock out a quick break. We're powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Stay here.
AFR.
GLO, glowresources.com. Glowresources.com. They are complete employer solutions. Glow Resources and glowresources.com. Hey, listen, if you're a business owner and you've seen productivity lack by the lack of the right people, you need Glow Resources. And you could say, well, can I afford it? Should I spend to have somebody help me hire? I would actually phrase it the other way. How much are you losing in lack of productivity? When you keep turning over employees and you don't have the most efficient people in your organization, what if you had the right people in the right seats on the bus? Well, that's what Glow Resources specializes in. It doesn't matter if it's skilled blue-collar labor, if it's any type of office job from an office-level assistant to the C-suite, they can help you find permanent solutions. It's Glow Resources. Check them out at GLO, glowresources.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, Jimmy will be here in about 15 minutes for Otter Locks. Find out what we're betting on tonight. We're talking about, if you're just joining us, Bill Belichick will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's from multiple reports. I think ESPN was the first to have it. If you're wondering, a coach, the criteria for a coach to be Hall of Fame eligible is they have to be retired from the game for 1 year. So for Belichick, having not coached a year ago, meant this cycle he was eligible to come on the ballot. Naturally, he proceeded and progressed pretty seamlessly through to being a finalist. But we learned today, as they've gone through the balloting process, the voting process, that he will not be a Hall of Famer here on the first ballot, which is stupid. Bronson sent a text and said, Matt, does this mean Sean Payton will not be first ballot Hall of Famer because of Bountygate? That's a really good question. And Bronson, to be very honest, man, I don't know that Sean Payton would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer anyway, which may sound silly. It may be silly, quite honestly. But, I think, first of all, you got to remember it's really hard to get into the Hall of Fame. I mean, you have players and coaches that are immensely worthy that have to wait because of the limitations on the number of electees every year. Kevin Mawai is a great example of that. Kevin Mawai had to wait a half a decade to finally get elected. He was a guy that played 2 decades in the NFL, was part of the all-decades team in 2 different decades in the National Football League, and still had to wait through 5 cycles, till I believe it was 5 cycles, before he finally got elected. And sometimes it's a logjam at positions, and sometimes you have no doubter first ballot guys like Drew Brees will be this year, like we all thought Bill Belichick was going to be this year. And so it's not always as cut and dried. Look at Eli Manning. Eli Manning became a real lightning rod a year ago because there were a lot of people who assumed Eli would be a first ballot Hall of Famer as a 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Giants and the Iron Man streak he had, and one of the top. Eli's, if you look at the NFL's all-time passing leaders, as far as passing yardage, Eli checks a lot of those boxes. He's 11th in NFL history in passing yardage, and so everybody that's retired, that's in the top 15 in passing yardage, are all in the Hall of Fame. And Fran Tarkenton's 15th, Warren Moon's 13th, Elway's 12th. So Eli Manning threw for more yards than John Elway, won 2 Super Bowls, as did Elway. So I guess all that to say, it's an inevitability. Like Brees will be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but just sometimes, and Eli, I think, will be a Hall of Famer. 11th in NFL history in passing yardage, a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He's going to get in, but it's just really hard to be a first ballot guy where it's just absolutely no conversation you go in. But if Bill Belichick isn't a first ballot guy, then you start to wonder, who is? And the conversation apparently with Bill Polian bringing up in the room was that this should be a punishment for Spygate, which one thing I know doing this job for as long as I have is that it is hard, if not altogether impossible, to get unanimous agreement from sports fans on anything. Sometimes I feel like I could give everybody in the world $500 and there'd be people that would complain that I didn't give them $1,000. It's just there are some people who would just always be contrarian and counterintuitive and ebb instead of flow. And it's why you have people, even though the whole world seems to think it makes sense, in baseball to have unanimous Hall of Famers, but you got some old writers who won't vote players unanimous. I know Mario Rivera was, but it was the first, but because Babe Ruth wasn't. So no one should be. And so they won't vote anybody, to be a unanimous Hall of Famer. And it just, I think, goes against the spirit of what you're doing there. And quite honestly, people like me, and not just me, but I mean, people who have a platform, a microphone, whatever, and really, quite honestly, everybody go on social media, Twitter, and everyone's conversation today is going to be disparaging the Pro Football Hall of Fame for not electing Bill Belichick on the first ballot. And I think that is a disservice to the people in this class who will get in, because instead of solely celebrating those who get in, part of the conversation in this Hall of Fame class inevitably is going to be Bill Belichick not being in. And I don't care what you think about Bill Belichick. It don't matter. You think he's a jerk. You think he's standoffish. You hate that he mumbled at press conferences. You hate his cut-off sleeves and the stupid hoodie. You hate that he's 75 and dating a 20-whatever-year-old. I don't care. I don't care how you feel about Bill Belichick. The undeniable, irrefutable truth is the man won more Super Bowls than anybody. I mean, they should rename a wing of the Hall of Fame after him. Shouldn't even be a question that he's in. So, it's unfortunate, man. It's a real disservice to the rest of the people in this class that's going to happen. But the question that on the text line that Bronson asked was about Sean Payton. All that to say, winning. I might compare Sean Payton to Bill Cowher, who had a long successful run in Pittsburgh. He won a Super Bowl in Pittsburgh, lost a Super Bowl in Pittsburgh back in 1995? 94? 95. No, 94 was Niners Chargers. 95 is when the Cowboys beat the Steelers. So they lost in 95. Then he won, finally broke through and beat the Seahawks in 05. But the 05 season. But Bill Cowher had to wait to get into the Hall of Fame. So I think Sean Payton will be a Hall of Famer. I don't know that Sean Payton is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, if he ends up winning a Super Bowl in Denver, that could completely change the conversation. It's a lot of the conversation we were having last week about Matthew Stafford. How this felt like a potentially legacy-altering season and postseason for Stafford. If Stafford had gotten to this Super Bowl and won it, and now you're talking about a guy who's sixth in NFL history in passing yardage and had gone to and won 2 Super Bowls. Well, now you're right there in that same conversation with Elway, who won 2, and Peyton, who won 2. Eli, who's not in, but has won 2. It elevates you over guys like Breeze, who only won 1. So I say only, but for the sake of the conversation, as far as talking about Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, those are legacy defining type moments. So Sean Payton's legacy and his career, the full narrative isn't written yet. And if he does end up getting back and getting to and through and winning a Super Bowl in Denver, then I think all that changes. But in the meantime, I don't know that I think Sean Payton would be a first ballot. I mean, I think he deserves to be. I certainly think he is a Hall of Fame coach. But he, like many, will probably have to wait his turn. Bill Belichick should not have to wait his turn, however. All right, it's time for further review. We're brought about Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, Arco.com, ARCCO, Arco.com. It's Arco Power Systems. Hey, listen, this is an unfortunate time to have to remind you of this, but this is a good reminder of why you need industrial Generac generator power for your business. Arco Power Systems, Arco.com, ARCCO, whatever type of business you may own and operate, Arco can help. Everything is turnkey. They can install a standby automatic generator for your business, your industrial facility, your commercial facility. They can install it. They can service it. They can rent you a generator. This is not standby generator power for your home. This is for your business Doesn't matter if it's a hospital, a school, church, a grocery store, a gas station, a bank, if it's an emergency system for governments, municipalities. When a storm hits, power goes out, and you need emergency power. Who do you trust? You trust Arco Power Systems. ARCCO, arco.com, arco.com, ARCCO, arco.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Remember, if you missed anything, AFR On Demand. Shea Dixon was here in hour one. We talked a little Cruton. The big story, if you missed it today in the Cruton world, is that Corey Barber, the wide receiver out of the state of Alabama, who was an Ole Miss commit, flipped to LSU after Lane Kiffin got the job and signed in that December signing period. Corey Barber got his 5th star from Rivals today. So LSU now with 3 5-stars in this class. And you want to know why Lane Kiffin took the LSU job, aside from the obvious? Like, just to add some color, with Lamar Brown, Richard Anderson, and now Corey Barber, that's 3 5-stars that Lane Kiffin has signed at LSU before he's coached a game. In 6 years at Ole Miss, he signed 1 5-star. I mean, yo. As he's fond of saying, just different. That's a pretty good illustration of it. So, Lane Kiffin doing work. That, I tell you what, man, that adds a whole different layer of intrigue around Corey Barber. Corey Barber, and remember Ryan Muret, the offensive lineman from Miami, who was another one who flipped into this class. Braden Allen, who is an Oklahoma commit, who Lane flipped to LSU. From Lafayette Christian, from LCA. But Corey Barber getting that 5th star after a really dynamic senior season there in Pinson, Alabama, adds a whole different layer of intrigue. Right or wrong, we pay more attention to the guys that show up on campus when they have the 5th star. And sometimes it's Deshaun Womack and Sage Ryan, and it doesn't really materialize. And sometimes it's Dom McKinley, who's a really good, impactful player from jump and continues to get better and better and better. Sometimes you have 5-stars who show up and they are every bit that from the moment they show up on campus, going to have phenomenal career. You're Patrick Peterson. You're DJ Pickett. You show up as a freshman and you're a freshman All-American and the defensive freshman of the year. So we'll see what Corey Barber is, but another reason to shine a spotlight on him when he gets to campus here for the spring semester and goes through spring football. All right, it's After Further Review. We are glad to have you hanging out with us here. When I got our final break of the show, our Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Sunequip.com, sunequip.com. Bunkie and below, you want a Deere, you're going to Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. All right, final break. Come back. Jimmy will be here for Auto Lock. Stick around.
AFR.
We're going to get down in the 20s again tonight. It's 44 right now. It's a little bit of a warm-up, relatively speaking, but we are going to get back down into the 20s. You're going to be rolling with that heater again tonight. I want to remind you that if you have any issues whatsoever with your heater, call River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. You can spell it out, O-N-E, 1hourbr.com for River City's 1 Hour Air. Remember, one of their licensed technicians will come to your house. They're always on time, or you don't pay a dime, and they'll make sure that your heater is running safely and efficiently during these cold weather weeks and months here in Louisiana. River City's 1 Hour Air, they got more than double the amount of 5-star Google reviews of the next closest competitor. You'll find out why when they come to your house. You'll learn it as well. It's River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001.
After Further Review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on this Tuesday edition of AFR, presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Hey, before we get to Jimmy, just a quick reminder, tomorrow, and then, of course, Thursday as well, Hester, Flynn, they're at the Senior Bowl all this week, so make sure you catch OTB from 7 to 10 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, online, YouTube. They'll be streaming It's one of those weeks where you never kind of know who's going to sit down. They've already talked to Luke Altmaier. They had Garrett Nussmeier with him today. So a lot of the players participating there in the Senior Bowl, they'll be able to have sit with them there. And a lot of guys you know, and maybe some stories you don't know. So it'll be really interesting. Make sure that you're tuning in here this week for the guys on OTB at the Senior Bowl. And then next week, I'm wheels up on Tuesday to head out to San Francisco, and I'll be broadcasting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from Radio Row at the Super Bowl. So very much looking forward. We did that last year, our first time flying away, or our first time covering the Super Bowl last year when it was in New Orleans, and we had all of our shows, our full day. The proximity obviously helped us be able to do the full day of broadcast, but it was such an incredible week. We just made it an emphasis and a point to say we're going again. So AFR will be live from Radio Row Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week at Super Bowl. We're already lining up a ton of great guests, and we'll have a ton of content. So I'll be there. Ross Jackson will be there. Rivers will be there, teching on site and helping with LouisianaSports.net. So Hester will be there as well for his SiriusXM show and also contributing for Off the Bench. So we're really excited, man. We got it's a real busy time with was in Houston last week for the Bear Bryant Awards. The OTB guys are in Mobile this week. I'll be in San Francisco next week for Super Bowl. So blowing and going, man. And it's a great time to be a sports fan. We're thrilled to bring you all the coverage. All right, we're good? Okay, hit it. Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Yo, Otter, what up?
What's up, Matthew?
Another day, another dollar, brah. Flossing and flying. 2-0 last night for the Oddfather. How about him? Give the man his flowers. Give him his dings. How about it? Love to see it. Arizona laying 1.5, won by 3. Duke laying 8.5. They win by 21. Nailed them both. Congrats.
That's the appetizer. You ready for the meal?
I'm ready.
Nebraska undefeated going on the road. We've been riding them. We're going against them tonight, laying a hefty number. Now it's up to 11.5. Taking the Wolverines at home in Ann Arbor against the
way,
undefeated.
There is a profit boost on this game at DraftKings, either on a same-game parlay or a single bet. So we're going Nebraska, you said, or Michigan?
Yeah, Michigan. Michigan minus points.
Michigan laying 11.5?
Yes. Oklahoma, chalk early, dogs late. It's a dog. It's up to plus 3.5. It was up to 2.5 when I called it in the hunt. Taking it home. Desperate team here. I mean, brutal loss. 3-pointer from the logo to put it in the OT, up to 3-pointer from 35 feet at the buzzer to lose at Missouri. They're desperate. They'll come with a big effort against Arkansas tonight. Virginia lost a 17-point lead against Chapel Hill, against North Carolina, in Charlottesville on Saturday. I'm looking for a major bounce back. It's on the road here in South Bend against Notre Dame. Notre Dame is down, taking Virginia minus the 9.5. Second game on ESPN tonight in the SEC in Nashville. Kentucky's on a 5-game winning streak, but as we know what happened in Baton Rouge, a little smoke and mirrors with this one. We're looking for Vandy, who may have gotten right after that 3-game losing streak, beating Mississippi State on the road by 32. Look at Vandy to take out some frustrations on Kentucky, minus 6.5. TCU plus 5.5 at home in Fort Worth against Houston. Houston had a freshman score 43 points and still could not win against Texas Tech on Saturday. And we expect a close game. We'll take the 5.5 at home against Houston. And then Alabama tonight against Missouri.
By the way, TCU is up to 7.5.
There you go.
Okay.
More on it.
I think I'll just stick with my normal play.
That's fine.
I've learned my lesson enough. I'll take the 7. I'm glad. I'm not going to look at Gift Horse in the mouth, man. I'll take the 7.5.
But there you go, though. 2 dogs. Oklahoma went from 2.5 to 3.5. TCU went from 5.5 to 7.5. Chalk early, dogs late. Bama minus 10.5 against Missouri is our final pick of the day. Also fired in a money, not a money line, an alt line parlay as a boost at DraftKings, and I used it, and it boosted up to like plus 377. Pull it up real quick.
I have it. You want me to run through it?
Bama minus 6.5.
Yep.
Virginia money line. Michigan money line. Virginia Tech minus 4.5. So 2 money lines, a 4-teamer. Virginia and Michigan money line. Bama minus 6.5. When you hit your main menu, you go to game lines, and it'll give you a little meter. Bama minus 6.5. Virginia Tech minus 4.5. And Vanderbilt minus 2.5. It's a 5-teamer. That was boosted from 314 to 377. It's on the website if that's too much for you to write down right now.
It's all there
1
at
minute
LouisianaSports.net. Just hit the sports betting page. You'll see it right there. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We are at Roca Pizzeria on Government Street in Mid-City.
Great spot. All right, Otter, good luck. Thank you.
Good luck.
I got to find all these. I got to get this alternate line parlay. What's say Virginia Tech minus 4.5? Yeah, I got some work to do here. All right. This is After Further Review. Been a really good show. We appreciate you for hanging out. Remember, if you missed anything, AFR On Demand is presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time, golf.breck.org. I'm trying to get you the updated number on what this same game parlay comes back at. Come on. Load, phone. You stupid phone. Phone's so stupid. All right, it is it's plus 290. Oh, well, you gotta do the boost. Do the boost, idiot. Whatever. It's a lot. See you tomorrow.
AFR.